designers, I'm Haley with Silverman Design School and welcome to my Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Dimension tutorial for creating balloons that you can use in Adobe Dimension to showcase mock-ups of logos, graphics, or whatever you need to impress your clients and look stunning in your portfolio. If you're running short on time and just can't sit through a tutorial, that's okay, I've got you. I do sell this mockup on my Creative Market. You can go there, download it, apply your graphics and render and be on your way. But if you have a little bit of time and you want to learn how to create those 3D objects in Illustrator, stick with me and I will show you how to do it step by step. And if you have anything that you want to work with me one-on-one to figure out, I do offer coaching sessions on my website, silvermandesignschool.com. I am here to help. If you're ready to make some balloons, let's get started. All right, so we're starting off with different types of balloons. I just wanted to show how to do latex and Mylar just in case you wanted to use a mixture or a bundle. They have slightly different techniques, but I will walk you through how to do all of them. So I've started with a new artboard in Illustrator and I have two layers. I have my reference layer, which I've put these images on and locked so I don't accidentally move them. And then I have this design layer where I've already put on some graphics that I can use on the balloons themselves. First, I'm going to start with the latex balloon. And I'm going to use my rectangle tool. I'm just hitting M to select my rectangle tool. And I'm going to draw a box around the balloon so that I can hit Command R, get my rulers, and put a ruler in the center of that box because I'm going to use the revolve tool and I need to know where the exact center is. So now that I have that, I'm going to use my pen tool using the P shortcut. And I'm just going to trace the right side of this balloon. And then zooming in for precision down here. And then at the bottom of the balloon, I know just from seeing them that the end kind of curls up. So I'm going to recreate that the best I can with this anchor point tool. So zooming in, I'm going to create that loop that makes it look like it's been tucked in. And then I'm going to follow the inside because I know that it is hollow. So I'm just perfecting these anchor points to make it look like that round shape that I know it is, where it kind of loops back in on itself. And then using the adjust tool, I'm going to make the adjustments. I can also come over to the pencil tool and choose smooth. That'll make sure that I am smoothing out the edges here. I'm just kind of swiping up on these anchor points, and as it's highlighting, it's creating a nice smooth finish. I'm going to hold shift and adjust this because I want the top to be pretty flat. I don't want it to dent in or dent up. I want it to be flat and round. And once you feel like it matches up to your reference image, I'll select the shape I just drew, come to 3D and materials and click on revolve. And that's pretty much it for the latex balloon. We'll save that and we'll go ahead and right click, collect for export as a single asset, and that will show up in the asset export panel, and I'll just call this one latex. To create a string for it, I will use the pencil tool, and you can pretty much draw whatever shape, like whatever you think the string would be. You can kind of create an imperfect one. This kind of snapped and made it a perfect string. And then I will click on like a line weight. And then we'll click on extrude because a lot of the time those ribbons are thin and a little more on the wide side. So I'll pick a depth of 1 pixel. And then if you wanted to have a string or something coming out like you've just tied it, we can do the same thing where we draw a line, click extrude, and then choose a pixel, 1 pixel depth. We can choose different depths and extrudes, but I think this will pretty much get us where we want to go. I could also click on this if I wanted to create a little bit more of like a loop. That could look like it's been tied on there, but we'll adjust that when we get a little further along in Dimension. All right, next we're going to work on the Mylar balloon. So with this, I will create a circle. So I just use the shortcuts M and L, and I'm going to trace a circle that goes around the balloon. Okay, and once that circle matches up, now I'm going to come to my effects tool distort and transform, and roughen. Here's where I have to experiment with the amount of roughness we want to add or subtract. So I liked the 0.5. We could also go with maybe a 0.6 for the size there. And then you can use corner or you can use smooth. I kind of like to use smooth. And the amount of detail here will determine how much it jitters around the edges here. So I might go back down to 0.5 actually for the size. That's how much it's jittering out. You can see when you go up, it's like really crazy. And then when you bring it down to 0.4 even, 0.5, that's where it's looking pretty natural. So we'll stick with that. And then I'm going to draw the tab part here. I'm going to use my pen tool again and trace along here. And it's not going to be super perfect because they look a little like loopy and dented anyways. So just to save a little bit of time, I am going to copy that over, transform, reflect vertically, and line these up as best I can. Command J to join them together. I'm going to isolate it so I don't accidentally move that circle piece. But I'm just going to bump these in slightly. And then use my smooth tool. Just make it, it's again not perfect, right? But we'll just smoothen it in a little bit. And then I'll switch to a fill. That's where I'll probably make this hole smaller. Let me just go ahead and use a Pathfinder, stitch that up really quick. And then using my circle tool, I'll just put a new circle in the middle and kind of small, right? Because that's where the ribbon goes. Okay, cool. So for the Mylar circle, again, if we go with a solid fill like this, let me go to the appearance because I just feel like it's still maybe a little bit too lumpy. 43 looks like good for that. I'm going to come over and I'm going to make a copy because the Mylar has that seam that goes around the edge, right? So if I move that to an outline and then go to path and then offset path, here I can choose like a 0.05 offset, maybe 0.02 offset. That looks really good. Highlight both and then click on minus front. And that will give us that seam that goes around the edge there. So for the Mylar balloon part itself, we're going to come to 3D and materials and inflate. And this is going to show you when we rotate around, it's too thick. So we're going to also choose inflate both sides. And you can see if you're making one that's a sphere, and I did see these online, that's a really great default size. But if not, we can bring the depth all the way to 0 and then bring the volume down to about 55%. And then we'll rotate that back around to a Y of 0. The others, we're going to do an extrude. For the outer seam, we'll do an extrude, and we'll also do a round bevel just to soften it a little. And we'll also bring the depth in to 0 so that it is very thin. And we'll repeat the same thing for the bottom here. We're going to bring the depth down to 0, but we're going to add a bevel. We'll add that round bevel. And we'll bring the width and the height of that bevel down. And we'll bevel both sides. Don't forget to toggle bevel both sides for those pieces that we've done this way. And then we can use the string for both from the latex and the Mylar. We can pretty much use the same string. And I just wanted to show with another shape that this technique for the Mylar balloon will work with any shape, a star, a heart. So we can go ahead and make a heart really quick. I'll just create one. Rounding these out. And then same, go to apply roughen. And then go to 3D materials and inflate. Inflate both sides. We'll bring the depth down to 0 and the volume to about 50. And then we can rotate around and see. that. It looks pretty convincing. We can also do the same thing where we go object, path, offset path, and it should remember that we did 0.02 before, so that's perfect. And then we'll just subtract, go back and change our panels to extrude with that round bevel shape and to bevel both sides. And we can use this tab for the heart shape, for the round shape, for whatever shape you end up making. All right, and then I'll highlight all of those things that we made, go to collect for export, and export as multiple assets. And then once you have all of your files in the asset export panel and labeled correctly, go ahead and highlight all of them by holding Shift and click so they're all blue, and select OBJ from the format menu below, and then export your files. All right, so now we're in the new Adobe Dimension. First thing I'm going to do is just get some settings changed. So I like to work with a white background, so I'm changing the environment background to white. And I like when my lines face me, so I'm just going to get this set up as such. All right, so I'm going to click on camera and get my first view all set up. Now I'm going to start bringing in my balloons. So just dragging and dropping in my latex balloon, and so now it's asking if I want to generate UVs, and I'm going to say yeah. I like when my UVs are generated. So here's our first balloon. Let's bring it up close and personal. So we're going to bring a matte material to our balloon. That's the closest we can get to latex. And then from Adobe Illustrator, I can grab my hex values. So I'll just paste my hex value in there, and now I've got this cream colored balloon to match my brand. I can also bring in the string, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit small, so I can come over to transform, have the scale locked, and just increase that size to like 1.4. And then we can also bring in this string knot and do the same thing, make it 1.4. And the other thing that's different about the new Adobe is that the align panels are not on the right anymore. So if you highlight all of these and then you come here, you're like, where's my align tool? It's just simply over here on the left side, align and distribute. It's the same tool as before. It is just in a different spot. So that was scary at first. I'm like, where's my align tool? All right, and then now that everything is centered, I can move my balloon, move my string until they all intersect. And so I will zoom in and get this knot in the right place so that it looks more like a string. Now let's go back to our camera view here, and that looks good. For the string and the knot, we can group these together and just call string so that, let's just call it string. And then let's find a string. What do we have? About a rope fabric. What do we have that can look kind of like a string? Rough blue stitch. Let's see how this looks for the string. That's kind of good. I don't know that I like that. Let's see what happens if we get to the material and if we just like up it, the tile. Yeah, if we repeat it. It won't be the focus, but it would be nice if it actually looked convincing. And now that I'm looking at this, we should probably just have the tie like intersect a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'll make the balloon blue. We can bring down the roughness a little bit. We can also add a little bit of a sheen, not too much though, because we want that like powdery latex feel. Sheen roughness. I know I'm jumping around, but let's go ahead and add some 3-point lighting here. Let's actually group this together into latex and move it to the side. And then we can move to our circle. We'll drag that in, rotate it 90 degrees, same with the outline. Rotate that 90 degrees. And then we'll highlight both of those, come to our align panel now on the left side, and center, center, all of the ways that we can. And let's go ahead and label these outline, and new update, and we still can't import the OBJ file names in, but it's fine. I'll be grateful for what we have. All right, and so now I'm going to bring this up. This one, I think the outline's going to have to come in a little bit because it's a little bit holy. What about 4? Okay, and now let's try realigning that so there's not so many holes. And if that's the case, then we'll have to go and adjust our file in Illustrator. This could have been better if I had made the border a little bit thicker, but I think that works, having the outline scaled to 1.01 and then the circle scaled to 1.03. That fills in all of our gaps. Again, we could have in Illustrator made that a little bit thicker, made the outline a little bit thicker and then hidden it inside of the balloon, but this worked. All right, so now I'm going to choose metal and drag that over the folder so it applies it to both pieces here. And from here, I can go to the material and adjust the amount of roughness, adjust the amount of metallic. I want it like kind of rough because they're metallic, but when they're printed on, it's not like as metallic-y. We can just explore some of these settings. And I think having a roughness at like 0.36, like 0.4, that's probably going to be a really good amount for us. And it applied it to both since we have put it over the folder. And here now we can choose our colors in this base color. There we go. And then I'll also export any graphics that I want as a single asset or individual assets and export as a PNG so there's no white background. And then I'll just drag and drop that onto my design. You can see here that it's pretty large, so I'll scale it down and then I can add some metallic sheen to it so it blends in a little bit more with the material. And let's see how it's looking when we're putting it together. It's looking so cutie. And then we'll go ahead and take the string from the latex one. We'll make a copy doing Control-C, Control-V, and we'll drag it over to the Mylar. And then highlighting all 3 of those, now back to our align panel, we can go center, center, and then we can bring the string up, but let's not forget the tab either. We got to bring in our, wherever the freaking tab is. Okay, here's the tab. We got to bring in our tab, which is what they use to inflate the balloon. So we're going to rotate that 90 degrees. We're going to drag that sucker up. And we're going to put that in our Mylar group here, name that tab, and then again, do our aligning thing. We're going to do like a cluster of them. All right, so tab, we'll move it up until it hits right underneath. And it's going to be a new thing for me to have to remember to go to the environment or viewport camera to move stuff around. And then the knot, we can go Control-C, Control-V, bring that down to the Mylar one so we know where it belongs. And then move it over here. And so then zooming back out of that, let's not forget to make our little tab guy metallic. And we're going to choose from our drop down here the hex value. Beautiful. And adjusting the roughness to 0.36 to match everything else. Let's go back to our camera 1 view. And I'm definitely going to want to shrink down the overall size of my latex balloon because we're going to make a cluster, right? And if I wanted to, I could have them like cluster together at the bottom with like a pretty little knot, but I'll just keep it this way. I'm going to also add in the heart shape. It's the same process as the circle. All right, now we've got the heart outline in the tab, and we're going to center and center those. Bring it up, bring it forward. Where's our tab? Let's lower that down until it sticks out of the heart. Now we're going to group the heart together. I grab that metal material, grab it and place over top. Then we can go to any one of these files and go to the material tab, scroll down, and I'll choose this blue color. We'll adjust the roughness to like 0.43 for this one. We can go ahead, we can grab the string and the knot, go Control-C, Control-V, and bring it over to the Mylar heart. We'll group that together because I like the placement. I think it works for this Mylar grouping. And then go ahead and align center and center. And then move the heart balloon tab, everything up. So for the purposes of this, I will nest the Mylar heart behind Silver Moon Design School. We can rotate them in. I think that gives like a really good angle. The Mylar circle, same thing. I want to showcase the edging there. And then let me bring the scale down to like 0.9 for the latex balloon, because I always feel like those are a little bit smaller. All right, and now I've got all three. And then if I go over to environment and adjust the lights a little bit, I have a feeling that the intensity is going to just be a little bit much when we go to render because of everything being so reflective. And then yeah, once I have all of my lighting the way that I want it, I can come over to the render tab. My saved camera is there, so then it's just an easy click. Name it whatever you want, and I always click PSD, but you could also use a PNG. I usually save out as a PSD, remove the background, and then save a PNG. But all of that is totally up to you. Once you have all of your settings how you want, I'll choose like a high preset, full resolution, just so I have something that's really nice and crispy for my portfolio and my clients. But if you just wanted a draft or something that was quick and didn't take too much time, that's what you can use. But with this new Adobe Dimension 4, my renderings have taken like half the time, so I'm really happy with it so far. And here's the final look. Alright designers, that wraps up this tutorial. I hope you found it really helpful. If you did, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you have any requests for videos that you'd like to see in the future, please comment those below. Until next time.